Hello everybody, it's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is Thursday at, I don't know, I'm guessing it's 1 o'clock or so. I'm going to move this. I seem to have kind of a shadow that I'm not sure why exactly. But anyway, hopefully you can see okay. I will try to keep it as out of the shadow as I can. I'll do the best I can here, folks. It may be like that every week. I don't even know. So let me just be sure I am transmitillating over here. So I'm going to do a quick refresh. Hello, Nancy. Appreciate you watching. Let's see what we got going here. There we go. It looks like things are good. Hi, Karen. Hi, Faith. I see you. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate that. All right, so here's my card. Yes, I actually made it. It does look like something someone not Mary would have made, but I actually did this. So it is a clean and simple card. It uses the Window Wishes stamp set and bundled window dies. Now you can see there are a lot of dies in this set that I did not even touch. You've got a die that'll cut out your wreath and your window garland and some candles and the house parts and the car and the trees. I did use the trees, but there is quite a bit left to do with this die set and the stamp bundle than I have even sort of scratched the surface of. Hey everybody, hi Debbie, hi Rosie, hello Nancy and Brooke and Carol. Appreciate you guys coming. And I hope you will enjoy it. One little admin note, actually two. First off, if you are accustomed to or thinking about joining me for my Zoom the Craft Room, I will not be on tonight. I have a business meeting that I will be doing instead and frantically trying to get ready to leave for the retreat tomorrow. And number two, the YouTube live video for Saturday night will not happen because I will be at the retreat. So the next time I will be live will be Monday at 2 o'clock for my Zoom the Craft Room, and then I'll be back on with a tutorial next Thursday again at 1 here on Facebook. Okay, so that is it. That's all we have to do. And now let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, Marva. I appreciate that. And yes, over the river and through the woods. I was trying to channel that. That's what I had in my head. And that's what I hope I got. So let's get started. Everything will be on my blog tomorrow. So all you have to do is watch. Very simple. This is in shades of black and gray with some shaded spruce. The car is evening evergreen. And then I've got just a smidge of cherry cobbler in there for our sentiment. Okay, here we go. Now, the hardest part of this for me is making sure that I keep my mat, because I'm matting a basic white card front on a basic white mat, and that gets me confused so easily. Yes, I do have a boo-boo. I have a very sharp new kitchen knife, and my husband said, be really careful with that knife because it's sharp. And it turns out he was right. I actually contemplated going for a stitch, and then I thought about the 4.5 hours it would take to get 2 stitches, and I decided to make like a Band-Aid butterfly. And that's what I've done. It's healing very well. I'm just keeping this on so that it moves a lot, so I don't want it to open up and potentially be something else I have to deal with instead of my retreat this weekend. Okay, so let's get started. To make this card, I started with the car. And the car is an evening evergreen car. It's a car on a card. A car on a card. And I decided on that. I was originally going to go with black, and then I thought, no, that looks like it could be, a hearse or something, and that didn't seem like a good idea. So I thought, what color car would you like? And I would like an evening evergreen car. And so that's what I got. And it actually kind of lays out the whole program for the layout, which you'll see right there. And so I'm going to put it right here like so. And it's a solid stamp, even with the windows and whatnot. So I'm being sure with my photopolymer stamp set to use a pad. And here I have the deluxe foam pad. Foam mat from the Stamparatus. Okay. All right. So there it is. It got me a nice, good image, so I don't need to play with that any. I'll put away my evening evergreen. Yes, it did hurt, and it actually happened right at the beginning of my Zoom the Craft Room the other day. So the ladies on there had to watch me do my my cobbled together first aid. Okay, now the wheels, as any good wheel would be, are gray, basic gray. And there's a really cute little stamp in there, and it looks like either a pair of goggles or a pair of eyes, and in fact it's the wheels. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in right now in basic gray, and it's pretty easy to line up, which I'm not going to say really too definitively until I make sure I get them where I want them, and I did, so phew, what a relief. Hey Penny, appreciate you coming. All right, now I've made some snow in smoky slate. All good snow is smoky slate. Everybody knows it, with the possible exception of the snow that is Pool Party, because Pool Party is also a good snow. Now, there are two line images. Actually, there's three, but I didn't use the little short one. You've got a rounded one that's obviously a hill, and then you've got this one, which is a hill and a dale and maybe also a road. So we're just going to stamp those a few times. And I'm going to get close. I don't really care if it's exactly perfectly on the wheels, because, you know, it's a card. It's a card, really. And we're going to do a couple more here and there just to give the idea that we've got some hills. All right, and then let's see, we'll do one more like this. We're going to do it right about here. And I just want to leave enough space between this snowbank and the one I'm stamping to make sure that my sentiment will fit. So we're going to go right here. I should probably straighten that card. I mean, snowdrifts are never crooked, right? Said nobody who ever lived in the Midwest, ever. Okay. Now, bada-boom. Oh, Gretchen, I'm glad you're getting to see it. I've had this set for a minute and I haven't pulled it out, but the Paper Players Challenge this week is something with wheels. And as I searched, I had the train, which I had just done, and this car with wheels. So here we go. Now, there are two little stamps in the set that have trees. One is a single tree, one is a double. And I'm going to stamp them a couple of times around. Let's go with this first one, which is the single. And I am going to line him up and lay him flat down on the hood of this car, the lid of this car, the roof. It's a roof, it's neither a hood nor a lid nor nothing. It's a roof. And then we'll take the double spot and we're going to stamp around. Now, normally I would get really head up about being able to see snowbanks through the trees. Snowbanks through the trees. No, that's not a song. But we're going to do a fun thing. We're going to do a little paper piecing here in just a second. So it's going to cover that up and it will not even be a thing. All right, a couple more singles. Hey, Jean, I think you're going to want this set. I do. Not necessarily because of this card, although I kind of think it's cool. Oh dear, hopefully I left enough room there. I might be a little close. I should probably put that in now. Yes. Well, you know what? This one's going to have its sentiment in a little bit different spot. And that'll be just fine. This is what you call punting on the fly. The other option, of course, is I could turn it over and stamp again, but come on, man, let's be real. So we're going to put Merry Wishes. We're going to put Merry Wishes right here. Okay, there we go. Note to self, before you do this, put your sentiment. That really ought to be first, okay? Do your sentiment first. Don't be like me. Do your sentiment first. Okay, so now we'll put another single right about here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that'll be just fine. Let's go with that. And now I'm going to show you what our paper piecing looks like. On a smaller piece of basic white, you're going to want to go ahead. We'll do it with the doubles. You're going to do this. You're going to make one of these for each of the trees on here. So you're going to make 7 of these trees. You'll be glad to know that I've already made 5 of them. I think. Yep, 5. All right, so I stamped them first in shaded spruce, just like the ones on the card base. And then in evening evergreen. Oh, thanks, Faith. Appreciate that. There's a bear tree image in the set. And what you're gonna do is in evening evergreen, you're gonna stamp over the top of these trees like so. Okay. Ew, that doesn't look good. And then I'm gonna take the dies. You could just straight fussy cut these, but I'm gonna take the dies and cut them right out. So I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I mean, I'm not really actually going anywhere. You may not be able to hear me. So I will try to not make any really startling pronouncements. I'm just cutting that right out. Now, imagine, if you will, a world in which you have no control. Oh, no, that's completely different. This is what you get. You can see you get the trees with a border. Well, that doesn't look very natural, right? So this is where a little tiny bit of fussy cutting comes in, and it's so easy. It will, however, be a lot easier with my scissors. Where are they? Come here. Alrighty, here we go. So really all I'm doing is I'm cutting off the bottoms. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut that apart, cut them apart. They're hooked together by the die, but I'm cutting them apart. I'm doing a hard cut, which is a hard fussy cut, which means no border. Why? Because the border has branches in it, and that's weird. Okay, so just cut it out. You can cut the trunk right off. You do not need it. In fact, you don't even want it. Okay, so you're just really making a couple of triangles. And it doesn't get a whole lot easier than that. I mean, this is even easier than trimming the DSP off of an envelope flap, right? Look how easy this is. Oh, I'd already started that. There we go. Okay, get rid of those and keep these. And I can get rid of my mat for a second. Okay, so now what I have, because I did a few ahead of time, because I didn't want you to have to watch me do 1,000 of them, is I've got a bunch of trees. And so what I'm going to do, you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I've already got my half dimensionals, and I'm going to cut each one of those in half again because the trees are not very big. One could even say they're small. Oh no, sorry. That just came to me like craziness. Okay, so let's turn these all over. If there's any persnickety piece of this entire card, it's this one. Now, I will tell you, if you don't want to mess with dimensionals, you could in fact just adhere these right over the top of those stamped trees, and it would be just fine. I mean, it wouldn't be as cool as this is, but it would be just fine. So now I'm going to take these little pieces and I'm going to stick them kind of in the middle of the tree like that. And I'm going to do that on all 7 trees. All 7 trees, she says, hopefully. This is where these Twizzlers really come in handy, because they really do. Even if you never do this, they're very handy. And I'm trying to get these up as close to the top of the tree as I can, so right in the middle. If you feel really so inclined, you could put a second one, but yeah, I don't think you need it. I don't think you need it. If you're ever worried about it getting through the postal surface with this on, put a piece of vellum or something over it when you put it in the envelope, and that'll help that machine roll on over much easier. Okay, so I'm just putting these. Once I get these on, I'm telling you, it's kind of knocked. So don't despair. Very minimal fussy cutting. Very minimal persnickety-ness. Hey, Amy, thank you for coming. I know you're busy getting ready for an early morning go. All right, so all of those have dimensionals on them now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paper piece, basically. I'm going to put each of these little trees over the top of one of the stamped trees on the set. And they're pretty close to the size that you need. It really doesn't matter if they're the perfect exact ones, but you know, do the best you can. But what it does is the stamped image behind takes care of any possible oopsies in the exact lineup. And by cutting the trunk off, the trunk of your image doesn't have your branches, right? So you've achieved two things just by doing a little bit of kind of modified paper piecing. You know, paper piecing would normally be done like on a, here, let's put this here, like on a piece of DSP, where you would stamp the image on a piece of DSP and then cut out parts of it to adhere over the top of your image. Hey, Catherine. And that would be normal paper piecing. This is kind of like cardstock piecing. Yeah, I like that name. It's cardstock piecing. And for me, I just think it adds a little bit of a little extra something, something. And it also has the, well, come on. It also has the added benefit of covering up where that snowbank has miraculously snowed right through that tree. Now it's gone. 1 second it was there, and the next it was gone. Bing, bada boom, bada bang. Okay, 2 more and we will be done, and we'll put the card together, do the insides and the envelope flap, and be done, ske. And be done, ske. Here we go. Okay. Now, I used Stampin' Dimensionals like twice. So there's more dimensionalizing on here than you might expect, but I liked the extra little bump of funness. So I have dimensionalized this onto its mat, and then we're going to adhere it with more dimensionals to our card front when we get to that spot. Okay, so here we go. Once we do this, I'm going to put some of those sequin stars, those adhesive backed stars on it. I wasn't going to, but it needed a little bling. I mean, there's only so much clean and simple that this girl can do, really. There's got to be a little bitty bit of bling. All right, and we'll just line that up and get it on all straight like that, and then we'll put our stars on. The trees, this is all from the Window Wishes set. So I stamped the trees in shaded spruce, and then over the top I stamped this image in evening evergreen. And so what you end up with is some branch detail on the trees. All right, so I'm going to use the smaller stars. I'm going to use an odd number and just kind of adhere them. Are they stars or are they snow? We don't know. They're stars and snow. They're both. They're both. I think these are so pretty. They've got just a little bit of a purple hue to them, but not so much that you go, gosh, why did she put pink in there? So there's our card front, ready to adhere to our card base. We'll go ahead and get the inside done. And I stamped a second sentiment from Window Wishes in Cherry Cobbler on my basic white panel. Trying to get it straightish as I can get. It always amazes me and dismays me a little bit when I can put a photopolymer sentiment on crooked. I don't quite know how I do that. That's just, well, it's just a little embarrassing. I'm just putting that out there for you. Okay, now in the corner, I'm going to put some snowbanks, a couple of snowbanklies. I'm going to use this one right here. We're just going to put snow. And then I'm going to turn it like that. And we'll put a couple of trees and a couple more stars. and then we'll be done. Now, these trees are not going to have any design in them. If you really wanted to, you could repeat the process that we just did on the card front, but I wouldn't dimensionalize them on the inside. I would just use liquid glue to adhere them there. But for me, you're not going to do that on the front of the envelope, so I would just go ahead and leave it. Leave them open. Leave them open. And I'm going to go ahead and put my mat back in place. I've found, especially on very, very solid images, that the mat really helps. I know they say to use it on everything. I don't always, because I'm a little bit lazy. And the paper that I have, I've got a big stack of paper that I work on, and it is, it's got a little bit of give. But for these kinds of images, it's just not as much as I would like. Okay, so there's that. We'll set that aside. And then I'm going to put a couple more of these stars on. Not that one, because I pulled it right off of its little glue dot. We'll put a couple of little stars here. Actually, and when I say a couple, of course, I mean 3, because always decorate in odd numbers. It's a great rule. There we go. Now we'll adhere that to its mat, and then into the card base. Thanks, Karen. Appreciate that. I'll tell you what, I am going through liquid glue like, well, there's nothing to say like right now without, like really fast, like really, really fast. Come on now, it can't be that far gone. There we go. That's a lot of glue. Didn't need near that much, but you know, sometimes you get a lot more glue than you wanted when you're squeezing like a vise trying to get it to come out. But the good news is, with all that glue, I've got a lot of wiggle time. Have you noticed that? The more glue you use, the more wiggle time you get, which is not an encouragement or urging in any way, shape, or form to use extra glue. You really don't want it. The cons of using too much glue far outweigh the limited pro. The biggest con is it's going to squish everywhere if you're not careful. So that time I got it started in the middle of my card panel, which was way smarter. Make sure we're putting it on right side up. Yes, indeed. Thanks, Carol. Thank you, Karen. We'll put this in like so. And while that's kind of drying, I'll go ahead and put some more dimensionals on. Like I said, this is double dimensionalized, so I've popped the card front onto its mat with dimensionals, and then I'm going to use more dimensionals to put the card front onto the, onto the front of the card. The card front onto the front of the card. There we go. Like a shoe. Exactly like a shoe. Lay that down. Oh, I've got dimensional covers everywhere. Dimensional covers every which way from Sunday. The downside of using a lot of dimensionals is you have a lot of dimensional covers. Speaking of dimensional covers, did I ever tell you that my husband has a worm bed now for, you know, castings for the garden? Well, he was on a website the other day, and this woman, she's a worm farmer, and she sells, wait for it, a medium-sized flat rate box. So you know how big those are, right? Filled with dried leaves. So like autumn leaves that are falling everywhere for free. Costs about, I'm going to say maybe $13 to mail. She charges $25 for that box of leaves. And I'm looking around going, man, we could have a lot of leaves. There is no correlation whatsoever between that story and this card, but it came to my head, so I shared it. Okay, so there is our card front. We'll go ahead and do a quick little scene on the front of our envelope, and we're going to use some more smoky slate snow just down here in the corner, like so. And we're going to keep that out because I'm going to put a little actual snow. A couple of trees. Hardest part about this part is just making sure your trees are standing straight up. If they are crooked, make them all crooked, so it looks like they're in the wind. Okay? Add in some pine needles and I'll have a gold mine. Exactly. I am rich beyond my wildest dreams and I did not even know it. So there's a little snow stamp in the Window Wishes set, and I'm going to stamp some smoky slate snow around these trees, like so. Just like that. And that's it for the front of my envelope. And because I really like things on my envelope flap, I pulled out a little bit of shaded spruce plaid from the Regal's DSP, 6x6 DSP, and we're going to put that on the envelope flap. I could have chosen Cherry Cobbler. I could have chosen Evening Evergreen, but I think this one is the prettiest for this particular card. So that is why I chose it, which is what makes those DSP packs so wonderful, is you can always have some DSP that will coordinate with your cards. Aw, thank you, Jean. That's very sweet. That is very sweet. I appreciate it. But I will be back next week and should be on schedule for a few weeks. You may find that on the 5th of November, I may not be on. I'm going to go to a birthday party on that evening. Okay, so there we go. There's our card. I know you're not used to seeing clean and simple from me, but I am a little bit shocked and amazed at how much I love this card. I really do. And it turns out you can put the sentiment either place that you like, and it's up to you entirely. All right, guys, I appreciate you spending part of your Thursday with me, and I will see you next Thursday on my Facebook Live, or hopefully some of you will be able to join me for my Zoom the Craft Room on Monday. Y'all have a great and wonderful weekend, and we'll see ya. Ta!